If you're a freelance software developer and you've been struggling to charge more than $5,000 per project, struggling to get paid what you know you're worth, this video is going to break that open for you, to give you some understanding of what you might be doing wrong at the moment and what you can implement in your business to get to that next level. My name's Finn. I've been a freelance software developer for the last 4 years, and when I first started out, I really struggled. I spent the first year massively undercharging for projects. I was charging $2,000 for a project that was worth $25,000. Since then, I've built my business up. I comfortably charge between $5,000 and $20,000 per project, giving me a consistent income of $10,000 per month. And in this video, I want to help you skip some of those mistakes that I made and get yourself to a level of income that you're happy with. If you're anything like me, you've probably tried charging by the hour, you've probably tried to undercut the competition by doing things really cheaply, and you've probably also had situations where you're really cheap and they still say no. But don't worry, this is all completely normal. I went through all of this and it doesn't have to be like this. You know, there is a better solution available for you. And I understand that you are probably frustrated. You have this really high value skill. You know how to build tech. You know how to deliver a product. Yet you still aren't getting the level of income that you thought you would with this skill. And in this video, I'm going to break it down for you through a 4-step pricing framework that I've created based on my own learnings about what's worked and what hasn't worked and what's changed over the course of my journey. What was I doing wrong at the beginning that I'm now doing differently, and it's allowing me to really scale to those numbers that are much more impactful for me and allow me to live the kind of life that I want to live. But before I get into this 4-step framework, I want to firstly address something that I thought I understood, but I didn't all along, and this is kind of what underpins everything. So you've probably heard this notion that you get paid in direct proportion to the amount of value that you create. Now, I heard this at the beginning of my journey and I thought I understood it, but I most definitely didn't. It is the most important thing to understand. Everything in your pricing strategy, whether it succeeds or fails, will come back to this. You are paid in direct proportion to the amount of value that you create. So this framework, here I've called it 4 steps to $10,000 plus projects. I've used it myself to get over that 5K project mark, and now I'm using it for the projects which are in that $10,000 to $20,000 range. So step 1, again, this is something that I had heard at the beginning, but I didn't really truly understand it until now. So you need to find bigger problems to solve. Solving bigger problems creates more value and you have the ability to charge more. So which companies have the biggest problems? This is quite a difficult thing to think about as an outsider of an industry or outsider of a business. So it's really valuable to speak to entrepreneurs, to speak to business owners in this context, understand what their biggest problems are, where are they spending their time. Typically larger companies will have larger problems. They have more employees. If you solve a problem which allows them to manage their employees more easily, for example, and they have loads of employees, that's more valuable. So getting into bigger companies, getting into enterprise clients, amazing. Big contracts, very difficult to do. I, for one, specialized in AI and SEO, and that's brought in some really great clients because I bring a niche solution to those people. And so that's allowed me to go into some enterprise clients on that side of things. So there are ways to do this. And another thing to remember is that every business wants to make more money. When I first got started, I was just thinking about using technology to save people money. But actually, helping them make more money can actually be more effective. Their costs can only go from $5,000 a month for this thing to $0. Whereas if you can create a new revenue stream for them, which is an extra £10,000 a month, it's already bigger and it can keep going and going. So that's an important thing to bear in mind. So you might be wondering, where can I find these clients with bigger problems? For me personally, it's always been about creating relationships. Particularly when you're just starting out, you need people to trust you, understand where you're coming from, what you can do for them. And so networking events are great. Some of my best contacts have been made through cold outreach on LinkedIn, creating a piece of work, posing an idea to them, and really doing things without much of an expectation of a return. These things can be really frustrating to do, but if you have a kind of strategy to what you're doing in terms of pursuing bigger problems, I find the results of that to be really fruitful. Now on to step 2 of how you can charge more money. Differentiate yourself. Can you offer a complete solution? For example, I have often offered design services alongside my development services, which allows me to charge more because they don't have to go away and hire a designer. Do you have a unique approach or process that can help them get more value out of what you're creating? I know personally I'm very good at thinking about systems and understanding that business's problems and how that can be turned into an automated system or something that works in the context of their business. If you're willing to have that conversation, to do that exploration at the beginning, it can be a little bit more time, a little bit more research on your front to understand their business and understand technologies that you might have to bring in. But when they see you do that, they will really understand this is the value that we're getting from this person. They can see in their mind's eye what this is going to look like at the end of this whole process. And that is really valuable for them and allows you to charge more money. And finally, do you have specific expertise which is valuable to them, more likely to produce the outcome that you want? Have you worked with clients on a similar project in the past? I know when I'm approaching a sales process and I've got this example of a similar client that I've done something similar for in the past, this new prospect sees that and goes, oh, this person knows what they're doing. They have specialized expertise, which is going to be really valuable in the outcome that we produce with them. And finally, the amount that you can charge has basically nothing to do with how complex the project is and how complex you show it to be to the prospect. Okay, they don't care. They don't care how complex it is. They just want it done. Okay, if it's super simple and they realize that it can just be done by anyone, then obviously you can't charge a high price, but there's no real value in just sharing loads and loads and loads of stuff with them. I actually gained a new client recently because an agency sent them documents and documents and documents about what they were going to do. And this client doesn't understand that, doesn't care. They just know what they want the end result to look like. Now moving on to step number 3, which is mastering sales skills. I have a mentor that introduced me to this about a year into my journey, and it's completely changed everything for me. Seeing how they were able to sell essentially the same product as I was selling, but charging 10 times the price, truly because of their sales process and the amount of trust and brand that they had developed in their industry, completely blew my mind. And this was all because they were able to show their prospect that they understood the problem they were facing. They understood the value. They could take one of their existing case studies and say, if we do for you what we've done for someone else, then this is the outcome that you're going to get. Being able to understand the problem for your prospect, being able to ensure that they're able to see their own problem, being able to communicate that to them, whilst also communicating the value of your own product and what sets you apart from your competitors, is what sales is all about. And like I say, it can 10x what you're charging for exactly the same product. So just remember what we've gone through so far. Number 1, you need to get in front of the right people. Okay, you need to get in front of people with a big problem where your solution can solve it and it creates huge value for them. You get paid a portion of that. And that's much easier than going to tiny businesses with tiny problems and trying to sell them an expensive solution. It's just not going to work. Number 2, differentiate yourself. Why should they go with you rather than the next person? And number 3, be able to communicate all of this. Be able to communicate their problem, your solution, the value that you'll create, the pain that they will go through if they don't address the problem, or if they go with someone who potentially isn't equipped to deliver the solution that they need. And finally, number 4, build trust. This has been huge for me. You work with someone at first, they don't really know you, they don't know what you're capable of, then you do a project for them, you over-deliver on that first project, and then they go, wow, this guy's amazing, he knows what he's doing. Next time, when we need something like this done, we don't go and find someone else. We know Finn's got it. Finn's our guy for that. Okay? And that's the relationship that you want with your clients. And this all comes from understanding their problem, being willing to have conversations with them and work together on the solution which is most desirable for them. The added benefit of this as well, if you're their guy, whenever someone comes to them and goes, oh, have you got someone for this? They send them your way. Okay? So it's this amazing cycle. If you can deliver early, over-deliver on early projects, if you can over-deliver on every project that you do, you'll become that guy for people. And at that point, you can also charge more money because there's less risk attached to the investment for them. When they first start out with you, they bake into what they're willing to pay the possibility of it all going wrong, the possibility of that money being gone, you're a fraud, you haven't delivered on what you said you were going to deliver. And so when it comes around to pricing the next time, they're more than willing to pay a higher price because they know you, they trust you, and you just have to make sure that you deliver once again. For those completely fresh prospects, people that you haven't worked with before, if you want to charge a high price straight out of the gates, then it's just about showing proof. It's just saying, here are the reputable companies that I've worked with, here's what I delivered for them, here's a testimonial from them. It's that social proof. It does that similar thing of de-risking this investment for them. And finally, something which is really easy as a freelancer. I know it can be a bit overwhelming when you've got lots of projects going on, but if you just communicate clearly and often, clients love that. Because when they're trying to get things done, when they're trying to grow their business, and particularly when you're remote and you're not there in front of them, then being able to drop you a text or an email and you get back to them quickly is a huge, huge plus, and again, builds a lot of trust between you and the client. So that's my 4-step framework. That's what's allowed me to going from struggling to sell 2K projects that were worth 25 to a place where I'm charging between $5,000 and $20,000 for a project, and I get an 80% yes rate. Okay, when I put prices forwards, I have those sales calls, most of my projects go ahead. And you'll reach that point when you start to bring in lots of clients. You'll get to a point where you're just so busy that these are the prices that you have to charge, and not everyone will be able to pay them. Okay, and you can be upfront about that at the beginning. You can make clear to them, like, my minimum project size is X. So it's a very natural progression. You just start hiking up your prices until people start to say no, and then you start to understand where your true value is, and then you start to look at the other levers, like, how can I get in front of bigger clients? How can I get in front of clients with a more specific or expensive problem? How can I deliver a more niche and differentiated service? How do I stand out from other people in the market? That takes quite a long time, I think, to understand, or at least it did for me. Now I really understand that. Like, when I work with clients, the reason that they work with me, being able to understand that and communicate that to new prospects is massively valuable. Master your sales skills so that you can communicate your value and build trust with existing clients and new prospects. Just stop competing on price, okay? Compete on value. That's the real takeaway here. Find more valuable solutions to provide and focus on that value. Don't focus as much on the price that you're charging. I hope that's given you some understanding of how you can move to that next level with pricing and earn the amount of money that you know you're worth as a valuable software developer. If you've got any questions about anything I've spoken about in this video, please do leave a comment. I will get back to you, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks.